Yo, welcome back to another video, guys. Welcome to the channel. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is David, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today's going to be a very short and simple video that I want to share with you guys. Obviously, here's the deal. I get a lot of questions and comments, not on just specifically YouTube, but as well as my Instagram, Facebook. If you guys want to follow me through anywhere, all my social platforms will be in the description down below. But I get a lot of questions about people asking me, how do I close more deals? Look, you can outreach, you can cold call, you can run paid ads, you can do whatever it is that you can do to get people coming to you or get people to actually be interested. But if you get them on a call, right, like an actual Zoom meeting, but if you don't know how to actually go through the processes, it's not really doing you much justice, and you've essentially wasted time. So this whole video, I'm going to be showing you the exact step-by-step prompts and the exact step-by-step script that I use to be able to make sure that every call that I have with my prospects, whenever I get them on a Zoom meeting, goes much smoothly, to be able to raise the chances of them actually closing and being able to be turned into a client. So without further ado, I'm going to be stop yapping and let's get straight into it. Okay, so we are in the Google Docs. So obviously this is just a prompt of exactly like a script, right? Obviously what exactly is that I use. So this is a script that I use specifically for closing calls, right? So obviously we can definitely go into set here. If you guys are looking at cold calls, we can definitely get that in, into the next video. But this is specifically for a closing script and how to actually close more deals once you get people on your calendar. So let's start it off, which is section 1, authority frame plus control. So every single call that you essentially, have, the very first thing that you need to do is actually set authority. You need to be able to set the frame of exactly what this call is going to be about. Why exactly are they on this call? What made them take out 30 to an hour to 45 minutes out of their day to jump on this meeting with you? Because as B2B owners, right, this also applies to B2C as well, but more B2B. If you're on more B2B, and this is specifically for agencies, right, you want to make sure that you have a valid authority frame plus control to be able to have these calls set up right. So here's how it's going to go, right? Obviously, this is how exactly it should be. You can definitely change it up the way you, like however it is that you want it to be. But typically, I like to start off like this, right? Which is saying, hey, or like this, like, hey, Jeremy, before we dive in, obviously the goal of today's call for us is to be, very simple, since I want to maximize our allotted time we have here together. I want to understand your operations clearly, see if we're able to help you out on any aspect of the business. And if it makes sense, we can definitely talk further. Does that sound fair enough for you? Right? That's how you set authority and you control the call moving forward. So once you do that, obviously you can say like, cool, so I know you called, catch me up again on what specifically you were hoping to fix or improve. So essentially, most of the time, and this specifically applies to cold calling, right? Obviously, if you called them, if they came for paid ads, it's entirely different, but you don't really have to use this line. You just need this right here. You need to be able to use this line. So once you do that, you're going to come into section 2, which is discovery. So now you ask, and now they talk. You want to make sure that you're a questionnaire. When you're on a phone call, you want to make sure that you're not really too much of a questionnaire. You're getting some pain points and some valid answers from your questions, but you got to be acting like a questionnaire. You just got to be asking questions left and right, just to see if you can even help them out or not, right? So first says, lead flow and CRM. You're just pretty much asking questions. You can obviously ask any question you like, but I like to start off with these ones, right? For example, like, where are most of your leads coming from right now? Are they like from Google, Yelp, referrals, etc., right? Like Instagram, social media. And then they'll respond, and you can say like, hey, when a lead comes in, what happens next? Does it go into like a CRM or like a system, or do you manually track everything? And then they can also say, what systems do you use? Like, what CRM? Who's handling those leads? Is it you? Is it just one person? You can have all these questions you can ask. And obviously, if they respond with like, positive answers, you can always, counteract them with like, okay, well, how well is that supporting with you? Or, okay, how's that going for you so far, right? Things like that. And obviously, you can do appointment management plus missed calls. How long have you been in business? Do you have any other separate businesses you're also running besides this? How much are you bringing in gross income per revenue? Because you want to make sure that you have how much they are making in mind. That way, when you are budgeting and making packages for them, it actually is flexible on their standard, right? And you can ask them, how have you optimized your systems before, or at all, or have used AI at all, or let me change this, have used AI at all. And then you can also have more questions you can ask, right? For example, like, how are you currently handling scheduling reminders and rescheduling? Are you looking for more? Are you fine where you're at right now, right? How often do calls go unanswered? So it's all like questions you want to ask, and obviously this is like all of the questions you can ask, right? So you can pause the screen here. You can see how all the questions I put in. You guys can copy and paste however you'd like. And after you're done with that, you're gonna go into section 3, which is reframe plus pain amplification, right? So what that means is now you're essentially reframing the call into asking the questions into actually getting the pain points out them, right? You're asking pain point questions. So you're essentially saying like, okay, so you're recapping it off, right? You're like, okay, here's what I'm hearing. You're generating leads. That's not the problem. Your real drain is like XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And you can say, like, okay, how long have you been running, this business for? And how long has this been going on, right? So I can write this down, right? So how long has this been going, right? Been going on for you? And then obviously you can go and actually have them make that pain come in, right? For example, like you can obviously have much more questions, but this is a good question, right? So if nothing changes, where do you think this realistically puts you in the next 12 months, right? So that's what you can say. And then now you're gonna come into section 4. So this is like the solution. You're essentially pitching them, right? Don't make sure not to over explain. Keep it simple, high status, and optimized focus, right? So for example, this is how you can say something like this. All right, so the next step for us is based on everything you've shared. Here's what we'll do. Since everything what we do here at SNDS is custom, it usually takes us 1 to 2 days to create a system and a blueprint for exactly what you're looking for. And this is only if you don't feel confident. If you don't feel confident in them closing right on the spot, one call close, you use this method, right? Because you want to make sure that you actually have some sort of trust before they close. Because a lot of business owners, you want to make sure that they usually close if they have trust with you, right? So after that, if you feel confident, right, let's say this is your second call, you can skip the whole thing, but essentially you can just transition into actually getting the deal closed, right? Saying like, okay, well, XYZ, stuff like that. And then, section 6 is more so like an investment frame, right? Saying like, okay, so most clinics and, businesses like invest into automations the same way they invest in the equipment or staff up front, right? So what we do is we essentially build custom solutions, XYZ, XYZ. So you're essentially just telling them why we're different without vomiting everything or features, right? And after that, now you're going to come into section 7, which is dropping the investment clearly, right? So we can say something like, for everything we went over, full system built out, integrations, AI agents, automations, dashboards, it will be a upfront investment of XYZ and a monthly investment of XYZ, right? So you want to be pretty silent. That's essentially when you want to have high status. So a good question you can say is, so instead of it just leaving at like, it will be XYZ upfront and a monthly investment of XYZ, instead of it leaving like that, because it's just kind of awkward, right? You can say like, okay, so with that being said, where do you want to go from here, right? So now you're ending the question off open-ended for them to be able to respond. Because if you just say like, it's going to be an investment of $4,500 or XYZ, $10,000 monthly, whatever it is that you want to say or you charge, it's going to get awkward. So you want to make sure that you leave it off and end it off on an open-ended question saying like XYZ, where do you want to go from here? Right? So after that's done, now you're going to go into objection handling if you need anything else, right? So obviously this is my mentor, so I'm going to just read, come here, and then I'm going to put my hashtags. But yeah, you can essentially like handle objections, but once you do handle objections, then you can go into like hard call close. If they aren't really closing, where you can say like everything you've shared lines up with clients who scale quickly once this is implemented. If you're ready, we can start the onboarding and developing today, since it takes us anywhere from 7 to 14 days to build it out fully. So I'm gonna and with due diligence at the end, we'll walk you through the whole entire setup. So just kind of like hard closing, making sure that you don't necessarily hard close them, but just kind of like giving them like another chance to actually just close, right? So once they close, now you can go into kind of like that ending, like that onboarding thing. So where you can say it's like, okay, perfect, let's get everything set up. I'm going to send you the payment link right now. While you hand it out, I'll prepare the contract agreement for you to sign, so both parties are fully aligned. And once that's done, right? Or you can just, I'm gonna show you this, right? You can say like once you are finished with that, right? You will receive access to your client portal via email, where you can, XYZ check your entire build out, blah, blah. And then from there, you will begin developing our AI systems immediately, right? So that's pretty much how the framework goes for closing. If you guys want to essentially like get or see a script of exactly how it is that I do to actually cold call to get clients, leave it down in the comments below and we can always go from there. Okay, cool. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment down below as well if you guys want to also have me make a video of not a closing script, but a setting script that you guys can follow to be able to close more deals and clients and actually get them to be booked on the phone. So if you guys enjoyed this video, like I said, leave a comment down below if you want to see that video. I'll post that maybe next week if I get, I don't know, 10 likes. I'll end up posting it, but if you guys want to, really see it, I'll do my best effort to try to get that out tomorrow or in the next 2 days. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, like I said, again. And then I'll see you guys on the next one very, very, very soon. Another one probably before that, end of this year, because we got like 3 more days of 2025. I'll probably get one out before 2025 to start the new year off right. But if you guys want to see more like this, feel free to let me know. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.